Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V26 Tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Dave Sharapan from Bostonian vs. the Book joined us earlier on the program. Edmonton and Florida, Game 3 Stanley Cup Finals. He would take over 6.5, threw in a baseball play as well. He likes Florida for the series. He likes the Pirates on the money line tonight against the Miami Marlins. Connor Mack, from a baseball perspective, Rays, Red Sox. He's going to take the Tampa Bay Rays. Fresh off Boston, taking 2 or 3 in New York against the Yankees. He likes the Rays on the money line, -104. Dodgers and Padres. He's all over San Diego, the banged-up Los Angeles team, even with Dustin May on the mound. Nick Pivetta on the mound later on tonight for San Diego. He's taking the Padres, and he likes the under in the game as well from Connor Mack. Jonathan Davis, NHL betting analyst right here for VSiN. Look ahead to Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Panthers and the Oilers. Likes Leon Draisaitl first goal, +400. Evan Rodriguez over half assist, +164. Sam Bennett anytime goal, +195. Evander Kane over 4.5 hits, -165. He would also take in, he likes the Oilers in the series, minus a game and a half. Right now you can get that at +240. And as far as a Game 3 prediction, as he told us earlier in the program, he's kind of like Switzerland, but he would take both Florida and Edmonton on the puck line, thinking that there's going to be a 2-goal winner or more than a goal winner either way. One of these teams are going to win Game 3 by at least 2 goals later on tonight. As far as Nick Whalen, who you just heard the interviewers are reacting to Game 2 of the NBA Finals, he likes Game 3 out back in Indianapolis. He likes the Thunder laying 5 as Oklahoma City won Game 2 on Sunday night at home in Oklahoma City by 16, 123 to 107, your final. As you look ahead to Game 3 of the NBA Finals, listen, we all know Oklahoma City is a -570 favorite, back in being a daylight favorite in this series, as you would expect. They were the class of the Western Conference. They were the class of the playoffs. The concern you'd have about Oklahoma City was the experience. They gained a lot of experience when they went up against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference semifinals and were able to outlast Denver in 7 games. They're clearly a better basketball team. The concern that you'd have is that Indiana, just like Oklahoma City on Sunday night, was the more desperate team in Game 2. They had to win that game. They couldn't lose the first 2 games at home after blowing a 15-point lead in Game 1, is that the Pacers are going to be the desperate team in Game 3. Now, you might say to yourself, well, the Pacers can be the more desperate team in Game 3. It still doesn't matter. Oklahoma City's better. But are they better on the road as compared to when they are at home? Like, you look at the road and home splits of Oklahoma City in terms of their dominance. Not saying that they have not won any games on the road this year. They have. They bounced back from a 40-point loss in Game 3 against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals and won Game 4 and then embarrassed the T-Wolves in Game 5. The Thunder, I thought, were going to win this series in 6 games. And if that is to be the case, well, that means Indiana is going to win one of the next 2 games, right? And so I would actually take the Pacers plus the 5, Game 3 on Wednesday night. I don't really have a feel in terms of the total, one way or the other. I think if you like Indiana in the game, you could see it going over. You could see it going under. I don't really have a great feel as far as the total. The one thing that I would lean on from a player point perspective that I feel pretty strongly on, that I mentioned earlier on the program, I would take Tyrese Halliburton. If you like the Indiana Pacers in the game and you're going to take the 5, as Game 3 gets going Wednesday night back in Indianapolis, I think Tyrese Halliburton, who's been described by many basketball scribe as being the head of the snake, I think you would take Tyrese Halliburton over 17.5 points. We heard from Mark Daigneault, the head coach of Oklahoma City, a little bit earlier on the program. We also heard from Pascal Siakam. We know that Oklahoma City's focusing their defense, and it's an exquisite defense, on slowing down Tyrese Halliburton. but I would imagine he's going to take the frustration that he felt in game 2, where he had 5 points through 3 quarters, scored 12 empty points in the fourth quarter when they were trying to, quote unquote, no pun intended, keep pace with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I would imagine Halliburton's going to be significantly more aggressive in game 3, similar in case to how aggressive he was in game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks. Now, Oklahoma City's better defensively than New York, but I would feel strongly about taking the over point total for Halliburton, over 17.5. And I think Indiana is going to find a way to keep that one close on Wednesday night. I would take the Pacers plus the 5 points. As far as game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals are concerned, series tied up at a game apiece. We had a great conversation earlier in the program with Jonathan Davis. I like Edmonton in the series. I think finally, the long wait is going to be over for all the Canadian hockey fans, that a team from Canada is going to finally win a Stanley Cup. And it'd be fitting for Gary Bettman, as the best hockey player in the world, with Connor McDavid finally hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup above his head. But we're a long way away from that. We got game 3 going on later on tonight down in Sunrise, Florida, between the Panthers and the Oilers, as the Florida Panthers are a favorite in game 3. And they're a slight favorite in the series. And you say, why are they a slight favorite? Because they have home ice advantage moving forward. When you're looking at the game tonight, Florida is a minus 138 favorite. Edmonton is plus 115. Davis, Jonathan, that is, gave us some great player props a little bit earlier on. I think Florida, and I do think, even though Skinner and Bobrovsky have played really, really well in nets and they've had a lot of goals, I would take the over in terms of the goals scored, just from the sheer. Florida's really good offensively as compared to where they were a year ago. They want to be physical. We know how good and dynamic Edmonton can be offensively as well, with the likes of Evander Kane. And you look at Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. I think there are going to be goals in game 3, just like there were goals in game 1, just like there were goals in game 2. And I think both goaltenders can play well and still give up their fair share of goals. So I would agree with Dave Sharapan, who joined us earlier in the show. I would agree and take the over 6.5. I like Florida in game 3. I like Edmonton in the series. I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I don't think there's a lot that separates these two teams. This is the 3rd straight trip to the Stanley Cup Finals for Paul Maurice and the Florida Panthers. Some of the names have changed. The offensive output has changed. Sam Bennett's had an unbelievable Stanley Cup playoffs. There's no question about it. Connor Verhaeghe has played really, really well. The impact of Brad Marchand, who had 2 goals in game 2, including the winner in overtime. I think the Florida Panthers going back home are going to take a 2-1 series lead. And then whoever wins this series is going to come down to what happens in game 4. Between the Oilers and the Florida Panthers. But I would take Florida minus the 135 in game 3 later on this evening. As far as the baseball is concerned, the Atlanta Braves have burned up a lot of tickets this year, and they are riding a 7-game losing streak as they go out there to take on the Milwaukee Brewers later on tonight, 7:40 Eastern time. First pitch in Milwaukee, and they have Chris Sale on the mound. Now, Sale has been really, really good for the Atlanta Braves this year. He has been. He's pitching to a sub-3 ERA. He is 3-4 on the season, 1.24 WHIP. He's had 96 strikeouts in 73 and 2/3 innings of work. We know when Chris Sale is right, Chris Sale can be utterly dominant. The Braves are not going anywhere this year. The start that they had to the season, they started to dig themselves out of it a little bit. They've now lost 7 straight. They just got swept this past weekend by the San Francisco Giants, who, have been a really good team this year in a really loaded National League West. I'm going to go out there and think that today's the day that the Atlanta Braves snap their 7-game losing streak. On the road in Milwaukee, Brewers are, a good team, not a great team. Sale has been great. It's been frustrating. Clearly a frustrating year for the Atlanta Braves. They're not going to the playoffs in the National League. They're not going to get within arm's distance of the Mets for first place in the National League East. But I just have a sneaky suspicion later on tonight they're going to snap that 7-game losing streak and give me Chris Sale and the Atlanta Braves on the road in Milwaukee against the Brewers. And what are you getting? You're getting minus 180. You're laying a lot. I would actually dabble on the run line as well. Lay the 1.5. It's only minus 102. Give me the Atlanta Braves in Milwaukee against the Brewers tonight with Sale on the mound.